Hi guys, welcome to this week's episode of Real World Basics. Today we are talking about adopting a cat. If you've been eager to add a pet to your household since you've moved out, then today's video is for you. We are going to be talking about the basics of adopting a cat today, and we're starting with cats because they are usually more independent than dogs, and this makes them ideal for first-time pet owners. For the purpose of today's video, we are going to be focusing on the adoption process as it pertains to animal shelters and local rescues. So when you are looking to adopt a cat, you need to look at the whole spectrum of cats before you adopt one. There are a variety of different breeds of cats. You have pure breeds, you've got mixed breeds. You can find any and all of them through your local animal shelters and rescues. Now, different breeds are going to have different activity levels. There are some really high energy breeds like Maine Coons and Bengals, and then there's cats that have a lot lower energy levels, like ragdoll cats. Those are going to be your super snuggly lap cats. Now, different types of cats are going to have different grooming requirements. Certainly a long hair cat is going to require more grooming upkeep than a short hair cat or even a hairless cat. And of course, age affects cats as well. Kittens are super fun and wild and playful. They have so much energy and are certainly a handful. And then you've got your adult cat, so I would say anywhere between 1.5 and 2 years of age to 7. They have a pretty standard amount of energy, and your senior cats, anything older than 7 years old, they're going to be a little bit slower and possibly a little bit more mild. So all of these different factors can contribute to a cat's personality, and it's important to be familiar with all of the different factors that make cats unique before you go and adopt one. You also need to take a look at what your lifestyle looks like. That's because there might be a type of cat that's more compatible with your lifestyle than another type. For example, you need to take a look at your daily schedule. With your daily schedule, a lot of people think that cats are happy being left alone all the time, but cats get lonely and need companionship. While they are a little bit self-sustaining, this means you don't necessarily have to rush back home after work, so they can use the bathroom or like worry about leaving them alone at night if you're away. But you still need to take a look at where you would fit in cat care into your daily schedule. You also want to take a look at your home environment. You need to assess where you live. Are you sharing a space with others? Are they pet friendly? Is your pet going to be free to roam around the house while you're gone, or are they going to be confined to one specific area? You also need to take a look at your outdoor space if you're considering letting your cat outdoors. Um, you need to assess whether or not the area you live in is safe to do so. I have included a resource to go along with today's video that kind of goes over the pros and cons of letting your cat be like an indoor-outdoor cat. And it is a big decision because there are a lot of risks associated with letting your cat outside. So it's just important to weigh the pros and cons before you make a final decision. You also need to take a look at pet care. If you travel a lot, you need to think about what you're going to do with your cat. Are they going to travel with you? Or if they stay behind, who's going to watch them when you're gone? And you also need to take a look at how frequently you move. Um, an indoor cat can live upwards of 18 years. And that's like basically raising a kid. So you have to think long term and keep them in your plans for that long. Are you prepared to take them with you if you move? And are you going to keep them with you and accommodate them if you add other members to your family down the road? And are you prepared to structure your housing search around them? When you are a pet owner and you are trying to find a rental property, you quickly find that a lot of landlords are not pet friendly. So these are all things to think about before you adopt a cat. Now, when you've taken a look at your lifestyle and you've done your research on cats and what you think you're looking for, you're ready to adopt a cat. And where do you go? You always want to start by looking at your local animal shelters. Animal control always has animals available for adoption. There are also independent organizations that have animals available. There's always the SPCA and Humane Society. There are also local rescues. If you've ever been to Petco or PetSmart, there are always animals available for adoption that are like not for the critters they have for sale there. But there are usually like cats available inside. They also have like weekend adoption events. So those are a good resource to check out. There are also the small independent rescues. These guys aren't going to have like a physical location. They primarily rely on foster families in the community, and the pets aren't in a shelter. They're more in a more home environment. There are also a lot of online resources as well. Pet Finder is another good one with connecting potential pet owners with pets available in their area, and you can get really specific if you're looking for a pet of a certain breed, a certain age, or size. There are also rehoming pages for people who are looking for a good pet owner, but I would always start with your local animal shelters and rescues first. Now, when you are bringing a cat home, you are probably going to encounter like a if you're renting, you're probably going to need to prove that your property is pet friendly. They may ask you to show them a copy of your lease or provide your landlord's contact information. And this is just to minimize the number of pets that get returned because they can't be kept, which is just really stressful for the animals, that back and forth. So be prepared to prove that you live in a pet friendly area if you are renting. And you want to spend as much time with the cat as possible prior to the adoption in like different settings, because cats can act really different when they're in a kennel versus like in a room. So keep in mind that being in an animal shelter is super stressful for an animal. So they may be more reserved or timid because of this, but don't let this deter you if you feel a connection with a cat. There is going to be a period of decompression and adjustment when you bring the cat home from the shelter. And only once that's been completed will you see their true personality shine through. And this adjustment period can take a while. It just depends on your pet and how resilient they are and what they experienced prior to their adoption. So just please try to be patient with them and try to accommodate them the best that you can. So when you are adopting from a shelter, this is a really great option because for the adoption fee that you pay, you get a lot of really great perks. It's really a great deal. I hate to refer to adopting a cat as a deal, but when an animal shelter provides vaccinations, such as their rabies or feline distemper vaccines. They provide blood tests to check the cat for FIV or feline leukemia. They do that when they take the animal in, and that's included in the adoption. They are also likely to microchip the animal, which is a little chip about the size of a grain of rice with a tracking number on it. So in the event that your pet ever gets lost, that number can be scanned and traced back to you. They also include the spay or neuter of the animal. And a lot of places will also include like a little starter kit. They'll give you a small bag of food that the cat's already eating, a little bit of litter to get you started with litter that they're used to. They might provide coupons to local pet stores or veterinary hospitals in the area you live in. And they'll also might send you home with a great little cardboard carrier to get you started. Now, this isn't exact for every cat that's being adopted, but a lot of places will set you up with the initial vaccinations, microchip, and spay and neuter. And when you consider the costs of how much these items cost individually, you can see that the adoption fee you pay is so small compared to what you get. So when I adopted my cat, there was a adoption special going on at the shelters to try to clear the shelters for the holidays. Many animal shelters will offer reductions in their adoption fees at certain times of the year when they're like really trying to clear out the shelter. So when I adopted my cat, I received vaccinations, a blood test, microchip, and a neuter for his $10 adoption fee. That is incredible considering that a rabies vaccine in the area we lived in cost $25 at a veterinary clinic. So when you compare the $10 adoption fee I paid for the cat I received, who was fully vetted and ready to enter the home, it was a really great perk of adopting from the local animal shelter. Now, when you bring your new cat home, you need to go slow when you introduce them. I spoke a little bit about the decompression period, and this all plays into it. So the standard recommendation to bringing a new cat to the home is to start them in a single room, get them set up there, leave them in there, let them explore at their own pace, and then you add more to their environment as they're able to take more in. And this is super important if you have like a lot of family members or other pets in your house, because everyone's going to be so excited and curious to meet the new cat. And the cat is going to basically be mobbed, and that'll really freak them out. So you want to take it slow, give them their own private little space to get used to the house and the smells and the noise before you just kind of throw them into the chaos. You want to introduce your new cat to any other animals in the household very carefully. You can use food as a positive reinforcement to get your new cat and any other animals in the house to associate each other with good positive experience, like eating food. You could feed them on either sides of a door together so they get used to the sounds and the noises and the smells that the others make. Now, hopefully you were able to do a meet and greet prior to bringing your new cat home, and you found a new cat who has maybe a complementary personality to the other pets you have, and things go slowly and smoothly. But if they don't, I have included some other resources regarding introducing animals to each other in the home, in the description box, and you should always talk to a veterinarian or an animal trainer if you're having difficulties introducing two animals together. When in doubt, you should always supervise interactions between them and keep them separate when you're away, just for everybody's safety. So the basic supplies that you need for a cat, you start with your food. There is dry kibble and canned wet food available for cats. Wet food is super important for cats because it's where they get the majority of the moisture in their diet. So it's more natural for them to get their moisture from their food than from drinking straight water. So you should always try to feed your cat canned wet food. You need dishes to serve them their food and water, and they do not have to be fancy. They can be mismatched. All that matters is that they're clean. Your cat is also going to need a litter box. The general rule for multiple cat households is to have one litter box per cat plus one more. They come in a bunch of different styles. There are ones that self-clean, that double as like furniture for a discreet litter box. And there are ones that have like a top entry, which is what I have to keep my dog out of the litter box. So you really just pick the one that works best for you. Then you need litter for your litter box, and it comes in a whole bunch of different materials. Clay is pretty standard. It does create a lot of dust and it tracks everywhere. There are also other natural options, plant-based like pine, wheat, grass seed. There are also plastic type litters. Sometimes they'll give you health indicators for your cat. So pick whatever works best for your cat. Some cats are really picky about their cat litter, so just follow their lead. Your cat's also going to need some toys to play with, to hunt, and to exercise with. It's kind of similar to the litter. Take the lead from your cat on what they like. Don't buy a whole bunch of one thing if you don't know that they absolutely love it. They're also going to need scratching stuff. They're going to scratch. There's no way around it, so you may as well just give them something to scratch. You do not want to declaw cats, so providing them with cardboard, scratching posts, carpet squares, anything like that. Those are good ways to help them relieve that scratching instinct. It's helpful to learn if your cat is a horizontal or vertical scratcher before you get them something. But I have also included a link in the description box to some really cool DIY cat scratcher projects too. You're also going to need some grooming supplies. Nail clippers are super important because, as I said, cats are going to scratch and you don't want to declaw them. So you just need to continue with regular and patient exposure to nail trims. Again, you can use food as a positive reinforcement to the experience, and after a certain amount of exposure, they won't be utterly traumatizing for everyone involved. If you aren't up for the task of cutting your cat's nails yourself, then you'll need to take them to a groomer or a vet for nail trims. That should be done maybe about once a month. You're also going to need a brush or a comb, depending on how much hair your new cat has. Long-haired cats will need a metal comb to get the undercoat. That's super important to get because that's where all the mats form. And then a slicker brush to get the top coat. And if you have like a short hair cat, then you should be fine with just like a slicker brush. And then grooming wipes. These are great multi-purpose items. You can use them for cleaning ears or wiping eye boogers or giving them a full body wipe down. So if you have all your supplies and you have your cat, you're ready to get started. And you might ask yourself, what do I need to take care of a cat? Taking care of a cat boils down to these 5 things: their nutrition, exercise, grooming, medical care, and affection. Starting with nutrition and exercise, you need to feed your cat a good quality food that's appropriate to their lifestyle. Whether they're indoor, a certain age, their nutrition needs change. You want to make sure that it has animal protein in it because cats cannot live without animal protein in their diet. So make sure it is at the top of the food ingredient list. And as fantastic as fat cats are, being so overweight causes a lot of health problems in the long term. So you want to keep your pet's weight down to a reasonable range so that they can live a healthy life. You can do this by encouraging them to exercise by playing with them. Even though cats sleep most of the day, they still need exercise. So this will also help minimize the chaotic 3 a.m. zoomies they have. So you can exercise them by playing with them with toys, strings, laser pointers, what have you. Just get them up and moving. For grooming, this is a great opportunity to bond with your cat and get really familiar with them physically. Um, you need to make sure your cat is grooming themselves properly, even though they do a pretty good job themselves. You want to take a look at their fur and skin because things like mats can cause skin problems. You want to look at their eyes and ears because if they're not clean, they can lead to infection. You also want to take a look at their nails. If the nails grow too long, they can kind of get embedded, which hurts really bad. And you want to take a look at their teeth and make sure there's nothing damaged in there and attempt to clean them if you're brave enough. Um, by doing all of this, you familiarize yourself with your cat's physiology and you can notice anything that doesn't seem right or is new, abnormal, that you can report to your vet. Which leads us to the next part, the medical care. So, as a pet parent, no one is going to know your pet better than you. Um, you should expect to bring your cat to the vet at least once a year for an annual wellness check. This is going to include a physical exam. So if you noticed anything during your regular grooming with your cat that seemed abnormal, this is a great chance to mention it. The doctor will take a look at eyes, ears, teeth, they'll listen to the body, feel everything. They may also give vaccinations. The rabies vaccine is legally required by law. There are other vaccinations that are recommended, especially if your cat goes to the grooming salon or gets boarded or you live in a multi-cat household. The FVRCP vaccine is the feline distemper, and the FELV is for feline leukemia. So those are other vaccines your cat could receive at their annual wellness check. It's also a good idea to do an annual fecal test. This checks a stool sample from the litter box for intestinal parasites. You also want to get flea prevention for your cat during their annual wellness check. Flea prevention comes in topical and oral forms. So, whatever works best for you is what you should go with. Some cats are a little bit more sensitive to different types of flea prevention, so just follow their lead on if something doesn't work for them. And keep in mind that some types of flea prevention, such as like the oral kind or stuff that treats intestinal parasites as well as fleas, is going to require a veterinary prescription. To monitor your cat for any changes in their health, you want to keep an eye on their ins and their outs. And this refers to what goes into their body. So, their eating and drinking habits. Are there any changes in how much they eat or drink, when they eat or drink, or what they eat and drink? And then their outs are going to be what comes out. So their urine and stool. So any changes into either the ins or the outs are something to keep an eye on, to monitor, and possibly report to your veterinarian. Another thing you want to watch for is their behavior. If your cat is doing something that is super abnormal, if your very mild-mannered cat is suddenly acting very aggressive, or is hiding all of the time, that could be an indicator that there's something going on. You also want to take a look at their activity levels. If suddenly your cat wants to do nothing but sleep, that could be an indicator that there's something going on as well. Cats are very good at hiding when something is wrong from them, which is why you need to pay very close attention to them. Because, as I said, no one knows them quite like you do. So you're going to notice if something is off. And their health depends on you. So pay attention and call your vet if something seems weird, because they can't speak English. They can't tell you if something's wrong. So sometimes you need to take the initiative, and it's always better to be on the safe side and call your vet if you have a question. And finally, we have the affection part. So hopefully you adopted a kitty cat that matched your lifestyle. Are you more of a sleepy and cuddly person, or do you want a lot of more chaotic shenanigans going on in your house? So pay attention to your cat in the ways that make them most comfortable. Like people, cats have very different personalities and boundaries, and you can learn them by paying attention to your cat's behavior. I've included a couple of other master list resources for understanding cats' behavior. Those are going to be in the description box. But of course, if you have any serious or really specific questions, always ask your veterinarian. And you have family, you have friends, you have a whole world to explore. You have opposable thumbs. Your pet has only you and the things that you give them. I don't say this to make you feel guilty, but to try to get you to see things from your new cat's perspective. Cats are always given a stereotype of being loners and aloof, but they're actually very social and affectionate pack animals. When domestic cats live in the wild, they form cooperative colonies with other feral cats. So it's just a very natural survival instinct. So don't neglect your kitty friend. Now, cats are truly a comforting long-term companion. They are great first pets since they're able to eat, drink, and relieve themselves on their own schedule if they have the resources available to do so. Now, this differs from dogs, who are a lot more dependent on their people, and we're going to be talking about adopting a dog in next week's video. Thank you guys so much for joining me this week, and I look forward to next week's video. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us at the Manassas Park City Library if you have any questions about today's video, or if there are any topics you'd like to see covered in upcoming real-world basics videos. I'll see you guys next week. Bye!